From deep in the irradiated wastes of the Mojave Desert, it's James Robertson and Michael Lucas Smith with That Podcast, a Fallout New Vegas gameplay diary.
Wait a second, what's that?
Sounds like weather effects.
Do I hear rain? How could
be
this
rain.
be? What's going on here? Rain? I don't understand.
And trees with leaves.
Are we playing Minecraft?
Not so much.
No, it's actually Honest Hearts. How's that for a segue? Pretty awful, I know.
Well, it was up there with other segues we've done.
Honest Hearts. Let's start with the controversy go.
Controversy. I got Honest Hearts early this morning. I don't know about you.
Yeah. So it took like, I think it must have been like 2 or 3 p.m. PST before Honest Hearts even appeared in the store, the Steam store, and even then it wasn't actually set up right. It didn't actually purchase. So I got it about 3:30 p.m. And started playing it after work, and you've already completed it on the Xbox.
Yeah, I completed it on the Xbox. It's actually not that long. It's like, I think, maybe 4 or 5 hours worth of gameplay. Now,
you skipped all the side quests, didn't you?
I didn't do all the side quests. So if you pretty much just follow the plot, it's 4 to 5 hours.
There's a hint that there's a vault out there somewhere, and I'm determined to find it.
What hint did you find of there being a vault?
The whole story about the father in the caves that provides for them. It's,
I just thought that was tribal nonsense. I didn't take that as a vault.
I think there's a vault out there. I'm gonna look for it. So
okay.
You there's some interesting little requirements here. You are maxed out at a weight carry of 75 unless you can pass a barter.
Wait, 75? You said 75. It was 100 for me. Yeah, my strength must have been higher.
If you pass a barter test, then you can do 100.
Oh, okay.
And you can't take your companion.
No, you don't take the companions, but I think that has to do with voice acting.
I'm not sure about the other guy with the Pip-Boy, but before I even talked to Ted, I convinced him to go away because he was hooked on Psycho. My medicine was high enough for that.
Oh, you convinced him to go away. I just convinced him he was kind of a jerk.
Yeah, I just said to him, the withdrawal from Psycho is going to set in pretty damn fast, and you're not going to have any access to the drug on this trip. So maybe you want to leave now.
See, now I didn't do that. I made 90 caps by selling him some Psycho I happened to be carrying.
And then what happened? He got high and left?
No, he stayed around and then died.
Oh, he actually went with you guys?
Yeah, he still went and then he died.
It was kind of an interesting first quest. So obviously this podcast is all spoilers. So if you haven't actually played through the intro yet, we're not going to go to the end.
Don't listen, yes.
Right, well, you're not going to go all the way to the end because I haven't got there yet, so we can't talk about it. But so you get out to the other side. You're in Zion
National Park,
right? And the first quest is to follow Ted.
Yeah.
But you immediately get ambushed and everyone dies.
and you're basically fighting raiders, but they're tribal raiders, unlike the raiders in New Vegas. What are they? It's been so long since I played them. The drug crazed nut jobs. What are they called?
Yeah, those guys.
Yeah, those guys. So instead of them, you've got a bunch of tribals, and they have these white and red face paint, and they're wearing what looks like bodysuit armor, actually, which is kind of intriguing given that they're tribals.
They're wearing a white skin from an animal that's flame retardant.
Okay.
If you wear it, you actually get flame retardant abilities, so you don't use a shish kebab on them because it doesn't do anything.
Ah, that's interesting.
No, yeah, the return of the shish kebab. Very nice. I really liked that weapon in Fallout 3. And these tribals run around with it all the time.
Yeah, I did notice that. The first time I saw it, I was wondering why my companion. You get 2 different companions during the thing. It's kind of like Dead Money that way. You trade off companions, but they stay with you longer this time. The first time I saw the shish kebab, I was wondering, why is my companion on fire? And I was looking for a flamethrower.
See, I had to leave my flamethrower behind. I gave a whole bunch.
I wasn't looking to use one. I was looking, where's the guy with one?
I'm just talking about the effect of the 100 or 75 if you can't pass that check. That it really forces you to go.
You can pass a survival check, by the way. It's not just barter. If you pass a survival check, you can also get up to 100.
Okay. It really forces you to carry very little into this place. I had to leave a lot of armor, a lot of weapons behind. And they even kind of rub it in a little, saying, "Oh, I don't want to hear you complaining that you don't have your fancy plasma rifle with you." Speaking of which, I actually took my plasma rifle with me.
So what armor did you wear in?
The superior armor that I got with the original DLC when the game came out, the caravan armor, reinforced caravan armor. I've been using that.
See, now I went in with the Sierra Madre reinforced, which is actually not bad.
What's I could have brought that. That's not a bad idea. What's interesting is that the disguising yourself trick doesn't work in this DLC. You can't wear the whitetail. What are they called? They're called the whitetails?
White legs.
White legs. You can't wear their armor and get away with it. It doesn't work.
See, I didn't try that, but I thought that should work.
No, in fact, I got shot at by what's the first companion's name?
Oh gosh, walking something.
Chalkwalker. No.
Yeah, Chalkwalker,
Yeah.
that's it. Or
So he
Chalkwalker,
shot at me
like
before I took that off, and then he stopped shooting at me and said, "Oh, hi, how are you?" But I took my Gobi sniper rifle, and I'm almost out of ammo with that. It looks like if you're good with constructing ammunition yourself, you're going to be okay, because you can do that at the workbench where Joshua Graham lives. And he seems to be the only person I've been able to trade with so far as well.
No, you can trade stuff with your companions. I've traded stuff with them. Now, as far as actually you mean selling stuff?
Yeah, it's talking about selling, yeah.
Yeah, you might be right.
Because the problem is he only has about 1,000 caps on him. So, and all of these weapons that I'm coming across are really expensive pieces of hardware.
Oh yeah, the riot gun isn't bad at all.
Yeah. I'm taking out the Yao guy back with a vengeance, but the shotgun puts them down pretty quick.
I was able to deal with them just with the cowboy repeater, actually.
I haven't been using that. I'm loving the shotgun right now. Let's see. And did you go on the Spirit quest?
No, I was going to do that on the playthrough I'm doing right now on my Mac, because I figured I was going to pick up some of the stuff that I didn't do on the Xbox.
It's pretty cool. Did you rescue the baby bighorn?
No, I did not.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about that for a second, because this really annoyed me. So you were asked to go and find this baby bighorn calf because the bighorns are getting all aggressive. So I went up there and I told my companion, be peaceful, no fighting. We snuck past them all, we found it, we started bringing it back. Out of nowhere come two of the tribesmen and start killing the bighorns. Now, the problem is that there was a bonus to the quest if you could do it without killing any of them. I didn't invite them.
These are two of your allies, you mean?
Yeah, well, they're not my companion. They're just part of the tribe. They turn up,
right.
they kill two bighorns, and it's just lost. What am I meant to do? It's rubbish. So I completed it, but some of them died, and Chalk was okay with that. He said, oh, it happens, but it should.
Chalk actually has some pretty funny lines. Have you heard him on his "Do people really gamble" line?
Oh, I like the one where he says, "Why do you carry all those bottle caps around? They jingle really loudly."
Yeah, that one too. Yeah. Now there was one annoyance I ran into in the early quest where you're following the main plot. As you go to the general store and you're supposed to get a bunch of supplies out of there, the little lunchbox.
The lunchboxes were quite hard to find.
Well, not just were they hard to find. There's the one that's sitting in a cabinet in the back room, and it's behind a rake and a broom.
Yeah, I just pressed Z and threw all that stuff out of the way.
Well, I had the devil's own time getting stuff to move. I had a very difficult time moving things out of the way where I could get things. I finally just, in frustration, started shooting things. And then finally it moved.
Well, there was a strange little note on the computer saying that they didn't get the supplies for the medical stuff and the lunchboxes, yet they had them all there. So
yeah, they were all scattered around the store.
I'm not quite sure what the point of that computer message was.
To frustrate you.
No. Well, I almost went back to the bus crash because I knew that there were lunchboxes there, but in the end I found all 5 in the store itself. Mm-hmm. So just for people who are playing that and they're trying to find all 5, they are all definitely in the store.
Yeah, they're all there. They're just kind of hidden.
So,
other than the 2 by the counter, which are easy.
It seems like the Bible has survived intact through the nuclear fallout. The new Canaanites.
Yes.
They're quite clearly of the Jewish faith.
No, they're not. They're Mormons.
Well, yes, okay.
Mormons refer to people as Gentiles too. They're Mormons.
I know they are, but the story and that they're following is much more Jewish. They barely talk about Jesus at all.
I guess, but they're supposed to be Mormon descendants.
Sure. I know it's meant to be that way. It just doesn't come across that way. And the way they act and it seems like a blend of all the Christian and Judaic religion together in one, which is what you'd expect with no direct lines.
Well, and Joshua Graham certainly doesn't take the turn the other cheek thing very seriously either.
No, and I think the thing that makes me feel like they're more Jewish is A, New Canaanite, and B, they talk about having the covenant with their God, right? And that's a very Jewish thing. So I thought that's sort of where that went. The stealth ability, the vista ability with chalk, where you get up high and you get more perception. I don't think it's particularly useful.
It points out a few things that you might not have otherwise have noticed, but yeah, it's not that useful. And then, did you get to the second follower yet?
Yeah, and she doesn't actually give you more stealth. She reduces the perception of the whites.
The white legs.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for them to miss you, basically.
Yeah. Now, I have done the quest where you got to deal with the Yahweh coming from everywhere. I went in and I put down the TNT and set that off with a remote detonator.
That one gave me a bit of trouble just for the first spot. I had I had difficulty finding the exact spot where they wanted me to put the TNT.
Because
even though
it's
there was
yet
a quest
again an
marker right on my
overlapping map point. You have to, it's like you enter and the corridor says, yeah, this spot's right here, but you actually have to go down, under, and around, and then you can put it down.
That's you know what that is. That's that stupid problem with the Bethesda maps that they put on these things where all the levels are aggregated down to one level and you can't tell what you're looking at.
Yeah, so I'm up to the point now where I'm dealing with the traps that have been put on the bridge, and I haven't got any further than that.
Okay.
But so let's talk about the feel, right? It's been a while since I played New Vegas, and I picked up the character that had just come back from Dead Money, and I fell straight back into the whole thing. I'm loving it. I found it very entertaining.
Well, now it's interesting that you say that because when I did this, I hadn't played on the Xbox in a while. I'd played more recently on my Mac, so the character I've been playing on the Mac, I fell right back into that one too. But on the Xbox, I had dropped that character after finishing Dead Money eons ago. And the funny part is, I had just gotten back to Prim, because that's where Edie had run off to. But it turns out there's a glitch with Dead Money and Edie. If you haven't finished Edie's quest before you come back from Dead Money, Edie turns hostile. So there I was at the beginning, ready to start Honest Hearts, and I'm standing in the general store in Prim, wondering, why is Edie on the floor? You know, basically, why am I here and what am I doing?
Right.
I couldn't place where I was.
I was in the Lucky 88. With Veronica was there waiting for me. None of the other companions, so I must have done the other companions in other games. So this was my original playthrough, I believe. Very high medicine, science, lockpick. Perception's a bit low. I'm putting stuff into that. Stealth is very low, so I'm putting points into that. I
have the character I specialized for Dead Money, where I put unarmed combat all the way up. Which, trust me, in this game, unarmed combat, while it's helpful in places, it's not as useful as high gun skill.
Yeah. Since there's 5 levels to be had here, I'm going to put all of the points into stealth the whole way, and that'll get me up into somewhere between 80 and 90, which will be enough. So I think by the time we get to the end of all the DLC, we might have everyone will probably have a super character.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, heck, the level cap goes all the way to 50 by the time.
I mean, it'll be like Fallout 3 at that point.
Yeah, it'll be a killer basically.
Which is an interesting balancing thing in New Vegas. Playing New Vegas, you couldn't, you went down a certain path with your character, and you couldn't be a generalist in everything. You really had to specialize. So
right, and since you can't continue your playthrough, you have to take a character that hasn't gone to the end of New Vegas. So if you take your character after a couple of these DLCs and go back to the end game in New Vegas, you're going to slice through it like a knife through butter.
Yeah, for sure. I actually, this particular save is nice for me because no allegiances have been set on NCR or Caesar or House. And this was the original stem that I used to do all 4 endings.
Okay.
So there are heaps of like completed quests that are just sort of I haven't returned to the person to get the reward. So my quest log is quite long. And
Well, the funny part for the game I'm playing on my Mac is that you get to the beginning, and at the very beginning they introduce the fact that the White Legs are looking to join up with Caesar, and Caesar's allocated them the task of wiping out New Canaan, which is where all this started.
Yep.
But the playthrough I'm doing on my Mac, I've already gone to the fort and slaughtered everybody there.
Well, they wouldn't know that. This place is quite
No, they
far
wouldn't
away.
know that. I just find it kind of amusing. They're like, oh, the White Legs are looking to join up with Caesar. I'm like, yeah, not so much anymore.
Yeah, not so much. In fact, all of his territories fall apart in all but one of my playthroughs, I would say.
Yeah.
So the look of this place is pretty neat. The distances are definitely on foot travelable. It's nowhere near as big as New Vegas.
No, it's not. But it also doesn't feel. Now, you didn't play all the way. Did you play Dead Money all the way through?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's right. You did finally do that. This is way less frustrating than Dead Money. Dead Money had its frustrating points where you felt like you knew what you had to do, but because of the limitations of the game engine, it was really difficult to do. And you don't get that in this DLC.
I mean, the thing about why I wasn't on the Dead Money podcasts because of the stupid Microsoft deal where they put it out on Xbox well before it came out on Steam.
Right.
Which means you get no Mackie and you get no me, which is tough luck. But we did play through it. I found Dead Money to be quite easy. I got all the gold bars in my first playthrough without even reading any of the spoilers on how to do it. And it was claustrophobic and honestly quite boring.
Now, I'm frustrating from the standpoint that at the end, when you're going back through, the game engine itself is not that highly tuned for things like running and jumping, and there are a couple of places where you really have to do that. As you're leaving the place, going through the staircase that's busted.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit better on PC, I think, because you can do these ridiculous jumps where you can change direction in midair.
Yeah, I guess, but still, it's kind of frustrating to the point where I kept getting to a point, saving the game to make sure that I wouldn't have to get back to that point. And I didn't have that in Honest Hearts. In Honest Hearts, it's like being back in New Vegas. Even though the feel is different, the scenery is different, it plays as nicely.
One thing I found interestingly, when I was up at one of the over the lookout spots, I started descending. You really got to watch your step on the edge of these big cliffs.
Well, yeah, I lost a lot of health points more than once falling off them.
I didn't fall off, but more than once I stopped walking, looked down, and like, whoa, I almost walked off the edge here.
Yeah, and it's a long way down to the river.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if the river effects and the waterfall effects have changed, but they're quite nice, and you get the wake behind you as you move through the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a couple of points where that's actually kind of disorienting.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, in the sense that there were a couple of, in caverns, I don't know if you've gotten to this point, there's a point towards the end game where you're walking through a cavern and there's a waterfall, where as you walk through it, if you're not paying close attention, it's easy to come out the other side and wondering if you're still going in the right direction.
Actually, I felt the same way at the Sorrow Camp.
Okay.
Just, getting to, what's his name? The guy who runs the Soros?
Daniel?
Daniel, yeah, getting to him. That area with Bethesda maps was very confusing.
Yeah, those maps are terrible. That's what when they move to a new game engine, I really hope they upgrade their maps.
I guess that'll be Skyrim.
Yeah, well, I really hope they do something about the mapping. That's just terrible.
So, we're going to do a second part where after I finished it, and I think I would say so far I'm really enjoying it. Maybe it's short, and $10 does seem a little steep if it's that short. Though maybe if I had stuck to the plot only, I would have finished it by now. But I am doing all the side quests.
Well, it's short, but as opposed to Dead Money, I don't find this one frustrating. There were parts of Dead Money I found frustrating, and I don't find any of this frustrating.
Well, just on a side note, when I had this particular playthrough, I started playing with the mods, things like depth of field and things like that. Now some of those things are stuck in the game. Even though I've turned them off, they're stuck in my save. I I've got depth of field in this playthrough of Honest Hearts, whether I like it or not, and I can't. You go into I've gone into the Fallout New Vegas settings and turned off depth of field and bloom and all that stuff, but it's all still there. So somehow those settings are going into the save file.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that happened.
Well, luckily I've got the resolution down low enough that the extra processing power to do that in this crappy engine isn't destroying me. But there are times here and there where the frame rate will really drop down. But I'm living with it.
Yep. Okay. So positive so far?
Yeah. Much more than dead money. Much more than Dead Money. One of the things that worries me about one of the upcoming DLCs is they said it was going to be like Dead Money, where you get taken captive and blah blah blah.
Well, which one is that? That's the one where they're going to do the big empty one with the technology thing.
That's the big empty one where you have the option of getting the technology to deal with things or just running away. And then there's the finale with the courier,
Right.
who is a legionnaire. You learn a little bit more about him in Honest Hearts if you talk to people.
Right.
How much have you talked to people in your playthrough?
I've talked to a few people, and yeah, the other courier keeps coming up as, well, we thought you might be this other guy, or yeah.
Did you, what's the girl's name, the female companion?
Oh, gosh. I can't remember it. It's the girl with the, with like the peacock
Yeah,
thing
did you talk to her about her family?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that next time then.
Okay.
Some interesting moral discussions there.
Okay, well then I'll have to make sure that on my current playthrough I do that.
Yeah, I learned to talk to NPCs in Dragon Age.
Okay.
Okay, well, I think that probably wraps it up now. In that case, what the problem is, where the heck is that song that we used to play when we were recording these things?
Don't worry, I'll throw it in post-production.
Just fix that up in post-production.
That's right.
And I think it would actually be Happy Times, wouldn't it?
Happy Trails, I think, isn't it?
It's happy. Now you're mis saying it like I was before. It's Happy Times.
Yeah, whatever. All right.